Alright, this is Chat UTD and my reaction to one of the most famous comebacks in recent years from United against Lyon. We're through to the semi-finals of the Europa League after just absolute carnage in the last few minutes of the game at Old Trafford last night. A bittersweet evening for me. It was my son's first game at Old Trafford. You know, and you think, well, what a game to pick. But for very genuine reasons, we left just before the Lyon third goal. So we left it 10 minutes into extra time. We had a lift that had gone very much out of their way to pick us up, and it was our only way of getting home. Certainly our only way of getting home before some stupid time. And they were coming to pick us up on the premise that the game would have been done probably by about 10 or just after 10. And yeah, I made a judgment call and we left, and I felt utterly broken on the way home when I found out what had happened, because my son's missed all that, and we were there. We were in the stadium. It was 20 minutes away. If we'd have just hung fire, it's difficult not to be just completely, as I say, broken about it as a dad. Feel hideously guilty. So I nearly didn't say anything about it, but I feel like contextually it's important, because you probably think, why are you not more chipper about this? Why are you not more excited about it? But that's the reason. So yeah, gut wrenching, if I'm honest with you. He loved it though. He loved Old Trafford. He loved the experience. Very much like me when I first went, was in awe of it. And we're going again on Sunday, which I'm sure will be a very different experience. But just as I say, broken that he didn't get to see it. I've seen it all before. I'm not bothered that I missed it. But for him, you know what it feels like when you're there and you experience something like that. And he's missed out on it. So I feel very, very guilty as a dad. Anyway, moving on. Just thinking about the game in general. I think what stood out to me when I was, obviously you see a different perspective when you're at the game, is I think we're a really, really poor team. We're very limited. I don't think there's any cohesion in the team. I don't think there's any fluidity. The patterns of play are not there. We're very much reliant on individual players coming up with moments and just individual passages of play that will break a team down. You know, every team is going to be able to have a few moments like that in a game, especially when you've got an expensively assembled team like United have. I don't think we played that well in the first half. Obviously, being there at the game, I thought that we were the better of two very poor teams in the first half. But we were definitely the better team. There was plenty of endeavour. There was plenty of energy. They fed off the atmosphere, which was very, very good in the first few minutes in particular. Nice bit of play by Garnacho. Nice to see him just do the simple thing, pass it, square it to Ugarte. I wish that Garnacho would just do that simple thing more often. And a good finish, and obviously a great start. Scoring just before half time to make it 2-0 is brilliant. In between the two goals, probably one of the moments of the match, had it not been such chaos at the end, was Fernandez's Van Persie impression. What an effort, what technique, absolutely brilliant. On Fernandez, if he's an out-and-out 10, I think he's fine in that position. But when you've got the structure of the team like it's supposed to be, and he's supposed to essentially last night be an inside right, he hasn't got the discipline to play that role, because he just goes and wanders to wherever he feels he's going to be most impactful, which means then that out ball, which should be available, is not available, and unless Dallow's busting a gut up and down that right hand side, the right side's null and void. And there's loads of space on that right side last night. You can see it more when you're at the game, and we weren't utilising it. So Fernandez still massively influential last night, captain's performance, but he's not as effective, weirdly, when he plays further forward, when he's one of two 10s. I think if he was a central 10, he could buzz around everywhere. That probably would work better, but he's just not disciplined enough in his positional sense to play that role, in my opinion. Big moment in the game, Garnacho, massive chance. And for a kid of his potential, it's a really, really poor miss at 2-0. He's hit it at the perfect height for the keeper. It's straight at him. It's woeful. I'm sorry. I know it's easy to say it from the comfort of your chair, but just caress it into the bottom corner. You know, he's a very talented kid. He should be burying that. And it's a big moment in the game because it's 3-0 and it's game over. But he doesn't take that chance. Leon grow into the game. They had a bit of a spell in the first half, Leon, where they started to get back into it. But they grow into the game. 2 very poor goals defensively conceded by United. And for a period there, we were absolutely all over the place. It was bordering on a capitulation, really. They go down to 10 men. The extra time, the first 10 minutes, and then I left, so I can't comment really after that other than highlights that I've seen. But the first 10 minutes of extra time was just much of a muchness. It was just nothing really going on. If anything, I thought Leon looked like the more dangerous team on the counter-attack. They looked streetwise, they looked savvy, they were just sitting in, buying time, as you'd expect, playing for free kicks. The referee was dog shit. In my opinion, I'm looking at it through very red-tinted glasses. I thought it was crap. He gave us nothing. And there's people talking about the sending off, like that Euro didn't touch him. Well, maybe that made up for giving us absolutely nothing all game, certainly from where I was sat. And then we left. So obviously we went 4-2 down. That should be game over, shouldn't it? And it's just 5, 6, 7 minutes, whatever it was, of utter carnage, where we find a way. Casemiro rolls back the years in some respects, gets a penalty. He's the one that passes it to Mainu. What a bit of play by Mainu. It's a hybrid of the goal against Wolves last season and the goal against Liverpool. Just brilliant technique. I tell you what, he looks set. He looks like a big lad. He looks like he's put on some muscle for a kid of his age. And then that beautiful head of Harry Maguire. What? He ghosts into that position, and there it is. And great ball again by Casemiro. So Casemiro effectively is the match winner last night with 3 goal involvements in that period of time. At the end of the game, when he should be absolutely goosed, by the way. We got 120 minutes out of him, 125 minutes as it was, because it was 5 minutes injury time on top of extra time. It's the comeback for the ages. It's an unbelievable comeback from United. And as I said, it's bittersweet for me because we were there and then we left. You couldn't write it really, but I console myself with the fact that when it went to 4-2, we'd probably gone anyway. So it's this. Last night it was me that I was annoyed with. I was annoyed with myself for going. Today it's more the situation. I could be pissed off at the world rather than myself, so that's a bit better. But I've got to let it go at some point. In terms of individual performances, as I say, Casemiro, he's a winner, isn't he? The thing is, you can say what you want about him, and there was times last season where I thought he was a disgrace. His lack of application, his attitude, walking around the pitch, didn't look like he gave a shit. But the guy's a winner. He's won everything there is to win, and you saw what it meant to him when I think it was Mainu or I don't know if it was Maguire or Mainu's goal, because it all blends into one because I've only seen the highlights of those again. But he's lying down on the floor. Maybe he's just knackered, but he looks emotional, and it's I thought he was good last night anyway. But obviously, those 3 goal involvements are massive. And he got 120 minutes, so I thought he was a standout player. I know he conceded 4 goals, but I thought Lenny Yoro was really good. I think when you see him in the flesh, he looks a really promising young player, and I like the way he carries the ball out and he drives forward, and that's something that he did in the away leg, and he certainly did last night. He's carrying the ball 20, 30, 40 yards up the pitch, drawing other players towards him and getting us further up the pitch and breaking from his position to just make us a bit more unpredictable, which was really good to see. He made a couple of mistakes last night in and around the goals that Leon scored, but nonetheless, you see him in the flesh. I think he looks a real player. Maguire did all right. I know he conceded 4 goals, but I thought Maguire did pretty well. Obviously, he's the hero with the goal. I thought Bruno captain's performance. Dallow's decent. There wasn't tons of individual performances last night that you could say, right, that was an absolute stellar performance from them. It was reliant, as I say, on 6-7 minutes of utter chaos at the end of the game, which are almost not analysable, if that's even a word, because it was just madness. It's an utter madness. But the importance of that result cannot be understated, because if we'd have gone out, not only is the season over and it's depressing, but the implications, the consequences of that would be so dire. We'd have 80 million quid probably to spend in the summer, which is nowhere near close enough to what Amrim needs. The only way Amrim gets a budget close to what he will need to give him the tools to do an even improved job next season is if we get the money that we'll get to if we qualify for the Champions League. And the only way we can do that is by winning the Europa League. And the only way we could do that is by getting to the semi-finals and staying in the competition, which is what we did last night. So that we're not at the end destination yet, obviously, but these are gateways to that eventual destination. Now, first and foremost, I'm old school. I want to win the Europa League because I want us to win a trophy in Europe. Not because of what it qualifies us for. That's my primary objective when we're in with a chance to win a trophy. It's the glory of winning the trophy. But I'm also smart enough or long in the tooth enough to know that we double our budget if we get in the Champions League, and that's what's necessary for us to be able to compete next season and to build and to give Amrim a fighting chance of having some of the tools he needs to do his job properly. I'm not that arsed about us playing in the Champions League from a football sense, because I think in quite a few of the games we'll get absolutely smashed because we're not good enough to play in it. But if you double your budget by getting in it, I can see that is a massive carrot. It's not a carrot, it's a necessity. If we don't get in that competition next season and we have 80 million, maybe let's say 100 if you can get a few players sold, geez, what are you going to do? How are you going to improve the team? I'm going bare minimum here. We need a goalkeeper, a right back, a deeper line midfield player, at least one attacking midfield player, and at least one centre forward. So there's 5. You're not getting that with 80 to 100 million pounds. Or if you do, they're substandard players. What would end up happening if we don't qualify for the Champions League is that they'd probably go, Onana's not that great, but at least we've got a goalkeeper, so he ain't going anywhere. Dalot, is he the best right wing back available around? Is he best in class? No. But is he good enough? Is he a he'll do kind of option? Yeah. Okay, he's fit every week pretty much. He doesn't get injured that often. He'll do a job for us. He's not terrible, so he stays. And we don't get he'll stay whatever, but we don't need a right wing back, essentially, is probably what they're going to say. Midfield, they'll look at it and say, well, drag another year out of Casemiro. Bruno can play deeper. Ugati's already there. Collier, you can drop Mainu a little bit deeper if necessary. Kone from the youth system. Again, we've got enough just to make do. And they'll end up getting an attacking midfielder and a striker. 2 players added to this team isn't anywhere near enough. That's what will end up happening if we only have 80 to 100 million pounds to spend. If we have 160 to 200, you can probably buy those 5 players. And also it opens up the pool of players you can choose from. And football players ain't the sharpest tools in the shed. So if they look at United and say, oh, they're in the Champions League, they're probably not going to go, yeah, but they're going to get beat every week in the Champions League. They're going to go, they're in the Champions League. So you are going to increase your pool of players because people will be attracted to the fact that we're in the Champions League. Because our pool of players that we've got to look at right now, if we're not in the Champions League, it's not pretty. It's youngsters. It's potential. Or it's players who are just not that good. So massive, massive, massive importance on trying to stay in this competition and win it. We've got Bilbao in the next round, a very good team, a very good club, and the final is in Bilbao. So you can imagine how motivated they're going to be to get to a home final, and the fact they're a very good team. So it's not an easy task. No, it's not. So you certainly can't win it if you're not in it. So at least we're in it. We've got a chance, and let's hope that we're not going to Bilbao just once, because we definitely are going to Bilbao now, obviously, because we're playing in the semi-final. But we get back there for the final. Keeps the season alive, keeps it interested, gives us an anchor point, gives us something to look forward to. What he does in the league, he said it last night, I'm going to play the kids, and you're going to have to be patient with us. As I mentioned before, I think anyway, we're going to the Wolves game on Sunday, and because of my dad guilt, I really hope that it's not the damp squib that I fear it might be. And I think actually playing the kids might give it something of a different dynamic, and that the crowd will be perhaps even more behind the team than they normally would be, because if it's a group of youngsters, particularly if there's quite a few youngsters in there, then I think United fans will always get behind that, and I've been calling out for that for a while. So it's part of the DNA of the club, just like famous comebacks are. And let's hope we can see a few kids come in, but we still do all right as well. Because as I mentioned in a video last week, if Wolves beat us, they don't go above us because they've got a vastly inferior goal difference to us. But if they beat us, they go level on points with us. We're 2 weekends away from being, if the results don't go our way, we're 2 weekends away from being fourth from bottom of the league. And I know the league isn't important anymore compared to the Europa League. You can't be fourth from bottom of the league if you're Man United. That has to still retain some value and importance. We're Man United. That was my first game at Old Trafford since before COVID, out of pure stubbornness, because I won't give the Glazers any money and I hate them, and all that stuff. But my kid wants to go, and it's different. It's not just about me, it's about him, which is why I'm so gutted he missed those goals. But I must say, the place is beautiful. When you sat there in the stadium, and the thumbnail, the picture on the thumbnail is the view from the seats we had. It's special. It's our home. It should be a listed building. We've got to enjoy it while we've still got it. So I know we didn't see the most special part of it, but it was a very special night last night, and we're definitely going to Bilbao. Let's hope we're going twice. Glazers out.